Florida State and Pittsburgh. This is college football action for Saturday. You got the Seminoles on the road. They were just announced in the FBS standings here in the Final Four so far. The first poll that came out, the first review, and uh, if I can just take a moment to review the poll a little bit. Here, I actually want to do it more on the show, not on this video, but I just thought it was poignant and interesting, and try to defend them a little bit as far as where we stand currently with the FBS standings, because Ohio State, as well, the offense, they really haven't looked that good. Why do we have Ohio State necessarily as number one here over teams like Georgia or Michigan? Well, Ohio State did look. You can have all these other teams, right? And yeah, we're trying to weigh the whole body of work, but more so, just play well against the best teams that you can get on your schedule. Remember, when we're looking at this pollsters, these guys, they just want to look at the big games. They're not worried about, you're an SEC team and you took it out on an FCS team in week, 9, 63 to nothing, getting your team ready for the post. It doesn't matter. They just want to know about the big games. So Ohio State beat Notre Dame, beat Penn State. Notre Dame's looked pretty darn good for whatever you want to say about them. Ohio State beat them. Penn State, we know how good of a season they're having right now. Have they fallen, out of the top 10? Yeah, probably so. But did Ohio State beat them that day? Yes. So Georgia, well, they haven't even played a top 25 team. That's their problem. They're lucky maybe to be second right now. They haven't played a good schedule at all, but they've been rolling through it or whatever. And for Michigan, they've got an absolutely dreadful schedule that's ranked, like 100, over 100. So they're not taking into consideration the deal. They're not worried about that in a situation with Harbaugh or the assistants or anything. They're worried about this bad schedule. So the one thing Florida State has going for them is that big win over LSU. So those are the top four. Washington, look, they won over Oregon. They're number 5. Oregon's number 6. Pac-12, you're out again. Washington, look, something's going to have to happen to one of those two teams. And don't forget, Ohio State and Michigan. Michigan, you might need to win the game this year. I don't know. Anyways, Florida State and Pittsburgh here. Florida State 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 games overall on the road. I mean, Florida State's just been doing a terrific job. What can you say? I mean, this has been awesome to see the Noles come back so fast, so quickly at this point. What's going to stop them? Not Pittsburgh, I would think, at this point. I think Florida State's looking absolutely terrific. Why couldn't they get this one by? Okay, it's 21 and a half. I get it, but here's the thing, right? No, you don't want to buy any points here. I actually would actually get off 21 and a half. I would make it 20 and a half. I would pay the 30 or 40 cents and still roll here with Florida State. I've got Florida State. I'll lay 21 and a half on the show here. I'll lay 22. I'll lay probably even 23 and a half points if I have to here on the show as a free play, but I like Florida State to win over Pittsburgh in this one. Look, Pittsburgh's 2-6. They're 1-6-1 against the spread. Hasn't been real good. Florida State continues to drub opposition. They've covered 3 straight. They beat up on Wake Forest last game, favored by 21. They beat them by 25 points on the road. So just equate it maybe with that one. Yeah, sure. Is it back-to-back road games? You got to lay 3 touchdowns? Yes, it is. I'm willing to do it here. Pittsburgh they lost that game. Talk about Notre Dame. Pittsburgh lost 58-7 at Notre Dame. They also lost at Wake Forest. They lost at Virginia Tech. They lost at West Virginia. So, all right, I'm going to take Florida State here. Lay the points. I will lay 21 points. I don't know if we're having enough consensus here, Ray, on this one, but you and me, if we're on them. Penn State, Maryland for Big Ten action here. This one's on Saturday. Um, here with Penn State on the road. It's down under double digits here at this point with 9.5 point spread, and this one was as high as 11.5. So, well, if anything, a little bit of a discount here on Penn State, coming in with a 7-1 record, 2-1 on the road. Maryland, 5-3, but 4-1 at home. It should be noted here in this one. So, for Maryland, they actually haven't been that great at getting numbers of late, but they are getting points here. Penn State's 9-2 against the spread, their last 11 in conference, while Maryland is just 7-18 in conference of late. So, if anything, like I said, a little bit of a discount here on Penn State coming in this one. And I don't know, that's kind of the direction maybe that I was looking with this a little bit of a discount here on Penn State. For the Terrapins, Talua Tagovailoa is up to 2,200 yards now so far this season. Maryland coming off that loss to Northwestern. It certainly was a stunner, but you got to give Northwestern a lot of credit for what they've done, considering what was going on this season with the team, with the program, the hazing incident that kind of set the program back a little bit and made them, go through about self-evaluation to a certain extent. So, still a big game, obviously, here for both teams, considering that at this point Maryland's still sitting on a 5 wins. They probably should be able to get there, but still, you'd like to be able to be competitive in this one, getting the points. Penn State's off of the win against Indiana, but they didn't come close to covering. We had Indiana in that one. It was 33-24. They also failed against the spread in that game to Ohio State in that big game. Remember that 20-12 20-12 victory for the Buckeyes over the Nittany Lions in that big game. Steam play. Looks like the Raiders are getting steamed right now in that game this weekend. I'm not supposed to go off topic here and talk about college football, but Aiden O'Connell, the notes came in. Aiden O'Connell expected to start, and the Raiders took the steam. So it looks like Sharps are kind of on to Aiden O'Connell a little bit. Let's get more comments from you, Penn State and Maryland. Here's Thomas Lewis is on Maryland. And Ray says, give me the over in this one. And boy, that's the way the direction kind of looked to me to a certain extent. But man, the money here, this Penn State push here kind of late does have my attention. And especially laying just a single digits now on the road. So I'm going to end up on Penn State. I think I can get with this now. The widely reported steam did come in on Maryland, but like I said, this line was as high as 11.5, and now it's 9.5. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Nittany Lions here on the road minus 9.5. Virginia Tech and Louisville college football action for Saturday. In this one, we have Louisville at home. What a season it's been for the Ville. They come into this one 7-1, 4-0 at home. Virginia Tech's 4-4 with an 0-3 record on the road thus far. And in this one, Louisville down to 9.5. Interestingly, this move has been all Virginia Tech really going forward. And give Virginia Tech credit. They've been able to cover some numbers even on the road with I mean, even though they've lost the road games, they now have covered four straight. All the momentum is with Virginia Tech at this point. The line here opened as high as Louisville. Generally open at 10.5, but I saw an opener as high as 12. And now you're talking about Virginia Tech. This line is all the way down to 9.5. I do feel like this one's probably going to be a lower scoring game. The total opened as high as 53.5, and it's all the way down to 48.5 on what certainly has to be characterized as a pretty solid move by the Sharps. It looks to be like this 5 point move to the under has to be respected. And it's probably something that I could even get behind. But more so, I think I'm going to end up taking these points. It's getting away from me now. I don't think I can go premium here at 9.5. I definitely would buy it up here. Make sure I get the 10, 10.5, 11, whatever you want to do to make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable. If you're going to ride with me here, I'd want to make sure I get maximum value here with Virginia Tech. I'd probably take another point or two and lay a little juice. That's what I do. I don't care. I want to have every tool in my belt. I want to have all the tools in the arsenal. And for me, I'm going to take Virginia Tech here. Look, Virginia Tech isn't covering numbers long term, but looks like in the short term they've made some big time strides. Have they been able to use the home field advantage a little bit? Yeah, but they also, like I said, got numbers on the road as well. That FSU game stood out. Earlier in the season, they weren't covering on the road, but since then, they crushed Syracuse last week. They destroyed Wake Forest at home. They destroyed Pitt at home and played well on the road at FSU despite a 22-point loss. They did get the money. So Virginia Tech seems to be on the improve here a little bit. I'll take Tech. All right, the one everyone's talking about between Iowa and Northwestern this Saturday with the total that opened 29.5 at some spots. It's just you want to make fun of it, laugh, say it's ridiculous, but nobody didn't see it coming. That was totally expected that we were going to get the lowest total of the season or in a long, long time here. And we did see actually a total with Iowa last year that was nearly as low. It's since gone up. So, which way is this one going to go? Like I said, this one's being played at Wrigley Field. Makes you wonder with such a high total, were they going to just play the whole field and they'd have to run in circles or whatever? Now, the configuration, I believe, at Wrigley Field is you play from third base to right field. If you're in the third baseline to right, so like um, if you know what if you know what's like down the first base line. That's the direction the ball goes that back and forth that way from um, out to right field is the configuration at Wrigley Field. They played here. They've played football before in well, they've played football in Wrigley Field for a long, long time. They've only recently started to come back here and play. Northwestern played a game here before the. I will say this: the brick wall. They do put some. They put padding in front of it, but it's close, man. That field is really tight in that right field where it goes into the brick wall, if I remember correctly. So we'll see. We'll see what the weather is as well. I mean, it could be cold here to a certain extent. I was on the road favored in this one by 5, it says here right now. Let's take a look. I'm showing it mostly 5, mostly 31 currently right now. And I don't know. I want to take Northwestern. I think things have been going pretty good for Northwestern all of a sudden. Yeah, Iowa's 6-2. I get that. But Northwestern, they've covered 4. They're 4-4. 4-4 against the spread as well. They're coming off a couple of covers. They just beat Maryland, of course, in that upset. We were definitely giving Northwestern a big, big shot in that game. Northwestern also got the money at Nebraska. We had them there as well. So I think we pretty much have a good feel for this team, but here's Ray on Iowa, and Thomas says Iowa and the under. He's going under 31 here. I don't know what I'm doing on the total. Maybe I'm holding it back for a premium. Maybe it's just too ridiculous to do anything with. Here, it's almost funny, right? Maybe you could get a total. Maybe you could get the total to go over. Look, Northwestern's gone over in 5 of their 8 games, but Iowa, the team more known for the unders, is 2-6 to the under. Mike says Northwestern does mow their lawn, and don't like I said, Mike. This game is being played in Wrigley Field, where I do expect it to still be kind of thick, but I do expect a more reasonably manicured football field here. Even though I do believe that the grounds crew, I don't know. I'm just speculating that that will be. Um, yes, I think Wrigley Field, but I think probably some football people from Northwestern here will be in there helping or just determinations. Again, a game like this does take certainly a couple weeks worth of preparation and all that. So while I do still think it will be kind of northwesterny as far as the grass is concerned, I don't think we'll see it quite as thick and luscious as it is in Evanston. But that is funny nonetheless here. But again, this game played in Wrigley Field. I'll take Northwestern. That's a home field advantage for me, Wrigley Field here. Yeah, it's not at home, but this is going to be fun, worth watching, and is also, I believe, the NBC Big Ten feature. Illinois and Minnesota here in this one with Minnesota at home. We got more Big Ten action here. Minnesota favored by 2. The total 43 and a half or so in this one. And for me, this total opened at 42 and a half. It's now up to 43 or so. I'm going to look to go over with these two teams in this one. The line move here, it was opened around Minnesota -4, did go down to -3, though I did see some look aheads that had Minnesota as high as a 6-point favorite in this one. So, if anything, it's given us a little bit of value in the game to look at. But I think I'm going to end up on the over here with these two teams, with Illinois at Minnesota. For Minnesota, they're 4-1 straight up at home so far this season, while Illinois comes in 3-5. But it should be noted 1-7 so far against the spread. And even though Minnesota, I think, generally known for more right now, 9-3-1, their last 13 games to the under as a favorite. But I think I prefer over in this game right now. Minnesota, they won a game, not necessarily a similar game, but they beat Louisiana at home in a game that featured 59 points earlier this season, about a month ago. And Minnesota coming off a couple of wins. They beat Michigan State. They beat Iowa. It was only 12-10, of course, but that was against Iowa. And Illinois did go over in their last game. They did lose that one. It was against Wisconsin, 25-21. That game had 46 points. So this has been a pretty solid under series, but last year's game was 26-14. That still would go under this number, but I am going over here with Illinois and Minnesota over the 43. Houston and Baylor, college football action. This one's for Saturday. You got Houston coming in winless on the road. Baylor with a dismal 1-5 home record so far this season. These two teams haven't been too good right now. Houston recently served with some papers by the NFL to stop wearing those Houston Oilers inspired uniforms. Hey, go to hell, NFL. Those are cool. And you guys just stay in your own lane, all right? Let the Cougars do what they want. What are you doing, NFL? Get your own house in order. Anyways, Houston and Baylor. Look, for me in this one, you got Houston. They've gone over in 21 of their last 30 games on the road. Baylor's gone over in 10 of their last 14 conference games. So I wasn't sure necessarily about the side in this one. Baylor, after all, they're really crummy against the spread, just 2-5 so far this season, and they're not covering numbers at all. While Houston, I don't know, they've been definitely a little bit better of a cover, but getting 4 points. Let me check that line, but. Getting 4 points, I just wasn't feeling too great about that. And the total here at 50, oh boy, I'm showing even some 58.5s now. I better just take it over on the show as a free play. Maybe too high to go premium now. I saw an opener as low as 55.5. This is 3 points higher than that. So give me the over here with Houston and Baylor as my selection in this one. Thank you guys. I'm sorry I missed your picks there on the Minnesota game, but I appreciate all those. All right. Well, sad, sad day. Gonna be some shedding some tears here by the end of this one with Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. It looks like the end of Bedlam, unfortunately, for these two schools. That's sad. Sad. You've got to find a way to extend this series. You cannot let this series die. You can schedule a non-conference game. At this point, though, there are no plans to do so, and that's too bad. So this should be awesome here because it's at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma's 7-1. Oklahoma State is 6-2. This is going to be just an awesome, terrific game. But I don't think it's going to be all that wild, like I think many people might be expecting here. I wasn't sure on the side necessarily, or not sure I wanted to allude too much to the side anyway. So maybe I'll kind of keep it brief here as far as what my play, you know, don't want to tip my hand too much as far as what I was going to do on the side here. But Oklahoma State has been such a solid under at home, 6-2 their last 8 games. They're also 15-7 their last 22 as an underdog, and just the nature of this. I think, the crowd, the excitement, everything that's going to be going on with this game. The fans, everyone knows this is not feeling great, that this game is going to be, not going to, this series is not going to be continued right now. Oklahoma's awesome, no doubt about it, with Gabriel and everything. But remember, Oklahoma State's had some really interesting results at home. They've won 4 straight right now with 4 straight covers as well. They beat Cincinnati by 32 points. They beat Kansas by a touchdown, and they beat Kansas State by a touchdown, covering the spread in all of those. They also went on the road and beat West Virginia and covered that one as well. Oklahoma State's in a great position here to send this series off with probably an upset victory, I would think. We'll see. I'll take the under as my play. I expect Oklahoma State to have an absolutely wonderful time in this one and make Oklahoma regret that they're the one that doesn't. To me, I don't know. Having read the stories, having read the reasons why, yeah, we know because, Oklahoma's moving on to the SEC, but it does feel like, you know, Oklahoma is the one that maybe isn't going to sign the contract right now, and that's just too bad. So correct me if I'm wrong on that. Please get me back if I have that backwards. But again, it's not something that's really been talked about too much, I don't think, in the media, or been in too many stories about why they won't try to find a way. But give me the under, and go Cowboys. All right, one last one here just to get done. We'll get out of here. Missouri and Georgia State. Missouri and Georgia State. Missouri and Georgia. We already talked about the FBS poll and where Georgia stands. They're fine. Win out and you're in. Georgia is going to be going here as long as they can keep it going. But might as well line up a good opponent. This is going to be one of the featured attractions of the day, certainly. I don't care if the spread is 16 points. You got a Missouri team coming in here with a 7-1 record. They played pretty well. I think their offense is just fine with Brady Cook. I mean, what can you say? Missouri's had an absolutely terrific season. They certainly would feel like they're going to be live here in this one, getting points against Georgia. We'll see, but I think they can bring a little bit of defense. I think we'll get a real rough and tumble game between these two teams that could keep Missouri in the game and within the number here. Last year, Missouri covered the spread. They were 31-point underdogs at home and lost just 26-21. And that was impressive as far as I was concerned, and maybe what has me on them here. Missouri's covered 6 of the last 8 meetings between these two teams, and I am going to be looking to go under, though, as my play here on the show. Maybe I'm reserving the side for later, but if you're going to tell me that this thing has 54, let me look at that line, 54.5, is that the line? Yeah, 50. I better call it 54.5 because I want to go under in this one. Look, this is a time of the year when Missouri kind of gets better on defense. They play a lot of under games in conference. Middle of the season, their defense is just fine. They'll be on the road here. They've gone under here. Let's see. Well, Missouri's an over team this season, so I guess I'm just relying on my brain and tradition to a certain extent, but also relying on the value to me. Look, this one was as high as 56.5. Now it's down to 54.5. I have seen as low as 53.5, including some openers when we were on that line show on Sunday. It was 53.5. I'm going to go under 54.5 here with Missouri and Georgia. All right, we got to get out of here. Thank you for spending another 2.5 hours with me every day. A couple dozen of you that hung out all the way, talking about all the sports and all that. Check me out over at TonySpix.com. We got a 5-pack up right now for just $25. Hook up with me, you guys. It's coming. Really treading water here and trying to find a winning streak and just keep having some. If you're a customer, a subscriber, you've seen I'm not giving you any bad beat stories. You've seen the games that we've been on a little bit, and it's just a matter of time before we break through here for another winning streak. All right.